This is part one of the tutor interview questions. Hi, Adam. This is Lena Alfaro, and I just want to give a little background of myself before I answer the questions. I started as a preschool teacher back in 2007 and worked as a preschool teacher up until 2011, and I worked with all age groups within preschool, starting with infant and toddlers and then moving to the preschool age children. While I was a preschool teacher, I also worked other jobs such as being an instructional assistant for a special education classroom and just other random education jobs that would come out from the district. In 2012, or actually no, in 2011, I became a credentialed teacher, and that same year I got a job at the Monrovia Unified School District as a second grade teacher. I only did 1 year of teaching, and that's when I decided to change careers and drift out a little bit from the field of education, but it was something I was very passionate about. So in 2012, I started a project, and this project was started with my brother. And basically, we decided to open a nonprofit in the city of Riverside, specifically an area that is very much a low-income immigrant community, and the name of the town is Rubidoux, and that is where my brother and I grew up. And we sat down one day and thought about how many of our classmates actually went to college and how many of our classmates actually finished college. And we realized that from our class, we were essentially the only ones. So we decided that we wanted to make a change in the community. Him also being a law student, he wanted to focus on the legal aspect, and I wanted to focus on the education aspect. Quickly, we found out that obtaining grants for a new established organization was not going to be easy, and I will be touching up on our adventures with this nonprofit by answering some of the questions. So, question number one: why did you decide to become a tutor? In 2012, I became a tutor in both the public and the private sector. Camino Community Center was the nonprofit that my brother and I opened, and I really didn't know what materials to use at the time, but I knew I wanted to help and I had a goal. So I did have materials from when I did preschool and when I taught at Monrovia Unified School District. And so I just started using the materials I already had, which weren't that many. But the same month that I opened, I had about 5 students, ranging from preschool up until adult age students. And with the public sector, basically it's through nonprofit. I was applying for something called an SES grant, Supplement Education Service federal grant, and I applied for that back in 2012. In 2013, about 5 months later, I received a notice saying that we were not granted the federal funding for our tutoring program because we did not have the years of establishment that the grant required. And at that time, the minimum requirement of establishment was of 2 years. So at that point, I realized that maybe we would have to change up our nonprofit a bit, and we ended up cutting the tutoring program. However, simultaneously, as I was tutoring for Camino Community, I also was hired through a private sector, a private company by the name of Alternatives Unlimited, and I started working with them as well in 2012. One of the reasons I decided to become a tutor through the private sector was, one, to find out what materials that company was using and what type of pre-testing, post-testing, and assessments they were using for their students, and maybe I can pick up a thing or two from my own company. And also, I could see if really the private sector tutoring was helping our students. And so I'll touch up on that in the further questions. But that is one of the reasons why I decided to become a tutor, both in the public and private sector.